Hello there, I'm Reiko, a Japanese tax accountant. Today, let me explain about the Japanese consumption tax system, especially for consumption tax liability. To explain about this, let me share the screen. Yes, this is my homepage and my accounting office's website. And we have English page, and here is the members only page. Now, I'll show you the part of this page because it's very helpful for me to explain about this. At the middle of this page, there is a sales tax category, and let's see the tax liability, this file. And you'll see the case 1 and case 2. And first of all, about case 1, it's for a rule for self-employed type personnel. In other words, sole proprietor or freelance. When you start your own business, maybe the first financial year, there must be less than 12 months in year, and the gross sales amount, for example, so 7 million yen, that is less than 10 million yen. In that case, the 2 years later, even when the gross sales amount is 20 million yen and more than 10 million yen, but 2 years ago, gross sales amount was less than 10 million yen. So as a result, so you don't need to pay any consumption tax, except when you choose to be a consumption taxpayer. But on the other hand, for a second year, the gross sales amount in that case over 10 million yen, yes, 12 million yen. In that case, 2 years later, you'll be a consumption taxpayer. Yes, the point is, 2 years ago's gross sales amount is the criteria. And that is another point. For a company owner, there are specific how do I say? Anyway, so for example, for the first fiscal year, for the financial year, in that case, there were only 4 months for first financial year, and the gross sales amount was just 4 million yen. In that case, but 2 years later, you should be a consumption taxpayer, even when the gross sales amount less than 10 million yen. This is because you're a company's owner. Because for a company, you need to estimate an annual sales year. In that case, 4 months, average monthly sales amount was 1 million yen. In turn to be annual gross sales amount could be 12 million yen per year. In that case, when you're a company owner, from third year, you'll be a consumption taxpayer. Well, I'm not just thinking it's it's a little complicated, but this is the basic rule. And let me show you another example. So tax liability. I'll updated one detail of criteria. And now you see the case one. For yes, the red one shows the year whose gross sales amount was over 10 million yen. And usually 2 years later, yes, you'll see the below figure. 2 years later, you should be a consumption taxpayer. Even when this year the gross sales amount was less than 10 million yen. On the other hand, even when this year's sales amount was over 10 million yen, actually 11 million yen, you don't need to pay consumption tax because 2 years ago's gross sales amount was less than 8 million yen. And you need to take care about, you need to care about this rule. When you calculate the actual tax payable amount, the payable amount of consumption tax, you need to use this actual year's gross sales amount and gross cost amount. And for example, so I pick up the received tax amount, 800,000 yen, because Japanese consumption tax rate as of now 10%. And while gross annual cost is in that case 6 million yen, but sometimes that includes some amount of salary and wages. For example, in that case of 4 million yen was salary. And you see the paid tax actually was 200,000 yen because salary doesn't include doesn't assess how do I say, it doesn't include any consumption tax. So the balance is how much you need to pay, tax payable amount. In that case is 600,000 yen. And one more thing, you need to care about this rule as well. Case 2, we can see this word, the first half year, the first 6 months of year. In that case, gross sales amount of half year, the first half year was more than 10 million yen. In that case, not 2 years later, but just next year, you will be a consumption taxpayer. Yes, this is another criteria. Shortly to say, the first criteria is 2 years ago's gross sales amount. And after make judgment this rule, you need to care about the first half year's gross sales amount or gross salary and wages amount of the first half year. If this amount was more than 11 million yen, and that is more than 10 million yen, you'll be a consumption taxpayer. Well, I'm not sure I could explain correctly or 100% of tax liability of Japanese consumption tax. But this is there's one thing I need to tell you, the most important things, how much you need to pay. There must be, this is a new rule, will be start from October 1st from 2023. And as you see, we usually keep the receipts and invoices. That's because the one reason is without invoices and receipts, that the consumption tax rate is written clearly, you can't claim this amount as a paid tax. So, shortly to say, without any invoices and receipts, which your keep in your office, you can't deduct paid sales tax from received sales tax. Of course, the balance is need to pay as a consumption tax. Yes, this is the present rule, and until 2023 September end. And a new rule will be start at this timing. And you'll see this word registration number. Yes, from this timing, from this time, without any registration numbers, you can't claim, you can't use paid sales tax as a deduction from received sales tax. Well, actually, it's also a very complicated rule and very hard to explain detail about it. If you'd like to know more detail about it, please watch this next video and check it. And also, government has prepared already English page. Let me show you this one. Now you can see National Tax Agency's homepage. That is a tax bureau or tax office. Here is the English page. Lots of information in there. And about Japanese consumption tax, please click information for taxpayers. Now, at first, I don't see any, I thought there are no information about consumption tax, but actually there is. This is a indirect taxes. Click on it. After that, you'll see the consumption tax. Guys, notification. Basic knowledge is here. Guides and the brochure. Yes, there's everything. I think it's very helpful for English-speaking people. But sometimes to be honest, I read roughly this page and lots of pages in there. In some guidance, over 50 pages in one brochure. So when you want to understand roughly about the Japanese tax system, I hope my homepage's information with some help. Thank you for watching this video. See you next time. Goodbye and have a nice day.